You're listening to the new WCEG Network on wcegtalkradio.com. Watch us live on your smart TV at YouTube WCEG Network. I'm Wardell Richardson, your host right here on WCEGwood, the Hollywood of the South, for the next hour. We're the worldwide community empowerment group where we speak life into the community. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at WCEG_talk_radio. That's WCEG_talk_radio. And at WCEG Network. That's WCEG Network. Last but not least, the topics and opinions are those of the show hosts and guests and not those of WCEG Network. I'm Wardell Richardson once again, actor, producer, director, host of WCEG, the Hollywood of the South. And we're here for another season, man. And I got to start it off with a bang. I always got to start my seasons off with a bang. So I have an incredible, a wonderful, a very, how should I say, you know what? I'm just getting to this because Stacey, this is my guest, Stacey. I'm not, before I introduce her, I just got to give a little bit of news, but she's a very gifted spiritual person, and I cannot wait to interview her and for you guys to see what she got coming up here in the next year. So first, I want to get into a little bit of news. Congratulations go out to Shirley Ralph for her Emmy for Best, what she got for the Black actress. She won the Outstanding Supporting Actress in the comedy series. So shout out to Cheryl Lee Ralph, and she also gave one of the best speeches ever at the Emmys. I mean, if you haven't seen it, go and look it up. It is incredible. She had everybody in there in the uproar. I just loved it. It was an incredible speech. Shout out to Cheryl Lee Ralph. Shout out to Lizzo. She has done her thing again for Best Competition Series. So shout out to Lizzo for doing her thing. Zendaya for her outstanding lead actress role for the second time. She got that award in 2020. She is the first Black woman to get the same award twice at the Emmys. So shout out to Zendaya and Quinta Brunson for her for Best Writing for a Comedy Series. This is the third Black writer and the second Black female writer to ever get this award. And, I love the award shows, the Oscars and stuff. It just gets to me sometimes that we can count on one hand how many times a Black person gets an award, but that's a whole nother story. I'm just happy for the people who have won. I'm excited that we are going up every year on a different level. So shout out to all those winners who have, graced our, how should I say, movie field and TV field, because they are definitely gifted and doing their thing here in the industry. Now, there has been, unfortunately, some untimely deaths that happened since the break. Earlier this year, I talked about a few deaths that happened early in the year. So since we went on break in May, I want to just shout out those deaths and let them know that WCEG give our condolences to those families. Jesse Powell passed away at age 51, famous R&B singer. Jazz great Ramsey Lewis at age 87. CNN news anchor Bernard Shaw at age 82. Comedian David Arnold at age 54. From the original Star Wars, Nikhil Nichols at 89. NBA legend Bill Russell at 88. Actress Mary Alice at 85. And of course, Kevin Samuel at 56. So once again, WCEG give our condolences to the families and those people who lost someone at this untimely death. We definitely send our condolences. Now, once I get started every year, I have to come with something really nice for you. And I have somebody here who I am great friends with. We've been friends for a while, and I was able to be witness to her gift. And the first time I was witness to it, it just blew me away. I was sitting here watching. I said, "What in the world am I listening to?" She's incredible. She opened my eyes to a whole nother world. I want to introduce to you my good friend, the gifted, the Stacey Dory. How are you?
I am great. Well, thank you so much for all the wonderful accolades. I definitely appreciate it.
You know what? You've been doing your thing, and I've been watching your show. You have a show that come on every Tuesday on Facebook. Where else do you have it on YouTube yet? Or
yes. So it's getting ready to be streamed on YouTube, but right now you guys can catch it every Tuesday night on Facebook Live on my Facebook page, which is Stacey Dory, STACEY DORI.
Okay.
And it's called Goddess Talk with Stacey Dory. So my brand is Your Spiritual Goddess. So I am a prophetess. I am a spiritual counselor, I have a gift of God. Mm-hmm. I was ordained as a prophetess at a tender age of 2 years old.
Okay, hold on. So let's go back. That's what I want to do. I want to start from the beginning because I have a lot of questions. And I'm sure that a lot of people who don't understand what a spiritualist is and the gift that you have, I'm sure they have a lot of questions because a lot of people think, tarot cards and stuff like that. You're way far past away from that. Exactly. So let's start from the beginning. How and when did you discover that you had this gift?
Yeah, so my mother actually discovered it when I was 2 years old.
Okay.
We have a family tradition where my family goes to our ancestors or our people that passed away grave sites, and they put flowers on, clean the graves. And my family is from South Georgia, so we all get in the car, we drive down there, and we just, pay our respects, give flowers and everything like that. Mm-hmm. And I was 2 years old, and we were driving into one of my uncle's grave sites, and he is buried in South Georgia in a cemetery that was segregated. Mm-hmm. So there's, when you first enter, there's a portion on the front where all the white soldiers are buried. And then in the back, that's where all the African-American soldiers were buried. And as we're entering into the cemetery, I look at my mom at 2 and I'm like, Mom, you see all those soldiers over there standing right there? They're angry because we're Black and we're coming into the cemetery. They don't want us here. And I'm like, look at them. They're just so mad. And she's like, I don't see anybody. She's like, what? Wait a minute. I don't see nothing. And then my whole family, like, they're in the car looking at her like, oh my God. And it was probably like maybe a couple of weeks later, that same uncle who we went to go visit at that segregated cemetery came to me at my mom's house. I'm in the kitchen with her. She's cooking. And I'm just playing, with my dolls and stuff. And then I'm just having a conversation. And she's like, who are you talking to? And I'm like, I'm talking to this man. And she's like, I don't see this man. And she's like, well, what are you guys talking about? And I said, well, he's telling me, his head hurts and there's a lot of water. And he told me his name. And she's like, oh my God. She stood there and she froze. And she grabbed my grandmother. And she's like, this baby just told me how uncle, passed away. And she's like, she's talking to him, and I'm giving her like very vivid information about, how he passed and, about who he was to her and things like that. And from that point on, her and my grandmother took me to the pastor at our church, and they're like, something's wrong with her.
I mean, it would have freaked me out.
And my mom, the pastor, she's like, no. She says, this baby is gifted. She has a gift from God. She's going to be able to see things, know things, and she's going to be able to communicate with God and give people insight and inspiration. And she said, keep her close to God and keep her, into the church and allow her to utilize this gift to help others. And ever since that point, I've been ministering to people. I've been telling people about their life path, helping people, out of situations that are unfortunate, and just giving people motivation and hope that God is still here, God is still real, and God is alive.
Wow. So, I mean, and I know you're young at this time. Mm-hmm. And as you're growing up, of course, you're going through high school and stuff. I'm sure you're seeing things that other people don't see and stuff. How did it affect you growing up and with your friends? I mean, did you Like, you know, because I mean, if I was one of your friends and I'm young and I don't understand what's going on.
So for me, growing up, you know, being in a church house, they definitely told you how to mask it.
Okay.
And, you know, you're taught not to use it or not to do it because people won't understand it. People will think you're crazy. So, you know, I just masked it and I just kind of went through my life, you know, as a normal teenager. But to answer your other question, it did help me with insight to who was genuine around me and what friends to have around me, because, you know, I can feel their intentions, read their energy, and sometimes even hear their thoughts to see if this was the kind of person that I would need to have around me.
Oh, wow. So this is why you're growing up. So it's easy for you to determine if somebody is a good friend or somebody is have a negative intentions towards you. So has it made any of your good friends that you were cool with kind of fearful of you or intimidated by you in any kind of way?
No, I don't feel any of my immediate friends were ever intimidated by it or fearful. I feel like everybody embraced it because I never forced my gift on anybody. I never did any unsolicited, you know, readings on people. I'm like, oh my God, this is happening. This is, you know, I always, you know, just was myself and just always came, you know, genuine and authentic.
Wow. Now I've sat here now moving forward, I've sat, you know, and I've heard you read someone. It was just this one time. And of course on your show that you do, I see you read people and stuff. How does it come? Like when you are talking to someone, you just have a connection with them at that time, or is it like a feeling you get, or is it like literally a sign? You know,
right?
It's hard to explain what I'm asking.
No, I totally get your question. So everybody always references that Disney show That's So Raven. Okay. I don't know if you remember that. They're like how she just automatically goes and she freezes and she gets this vision. But no, that is not how it happens. Okay. For me, you know, energy is everything. And, you know, just like how you can walk in a room and you can see somebody and, you know, they may be having a bad day and you instantly feel what they're feeling. Okay. So it's just that connection. It's like looking at a person or even hearing their name, I can definitely connect right to them immediately and feel whatever they're feeling or know what's around them.
Has that ever scared you before to where you just like, you know?
Oh yeah, I've had some experiences during some of my sessions where it kind of put me like, whoa. But you know, God didn't give me the spirit of fear and not to operate in fear. And you know, He gives you dominion over everything. So whenever a spirit or something negative comes my way, I use the words of God to defend myself.
Okay. So is it safe to say that the biggest difference between you and someone else who, you know, you have the tarot card readers, you know, the people who look at the palms of people's hands, things. Yours is directly from God. Theirs is coming off of a whole different type of energy.
So it's just like the Bible says, you know, you got to try the spirit by the spirit. You got to test the spirit. Spirits communicate to good and bad people, you know. There's, you know, the whole spiritual world, anybody that's not of God can still hear messages from other spirits, but it's how they use it and how they interpret it. Because you know how even the devil was once an angel, you know? So it's like that old saying, you know, people in, you know, like wolf in sheep's clothing. So you have to always, you know, try the spirit by the spirit and make sure that the person that you're getting that message from is someone of God. And for me, I know God's voice. I know God, and I know God is real. And I know for a fact, because I've had, you know, experiences in my life where my life was, you know, at the point where I may not even be here right now to even talk to y'all. Right. And, you know, I've had my encounter with God and I've seen God, and God told me at that moment when I went through what I went through, that it's not time for you. Okay. And, you know, just having that connection with Him and being able to connect with Him and having Him instill in me this gift to help others. You know, it's just like the prophets in the Bible. You know, how God, you know, gave them a message and He told them, I need you to go out here and do this. I need you to go out here and help this. And even God's own child, Jesus, was a prophet himself too. Okay.
Now, with this gift, have you ever, do things come to you like in a dream sometime? Or I assume that will happen quite often. And while you're sleeping, something comes to you. Do you feel like you have to wake up and call the person? Or could it be a sign for you to protect yourself?
Yes. So I do get messages in my dreams where, there's things that I may need to warn someone of, or, just some protection for me. So that does happen.
Okay. And how do you feel about that? Because just say if it's a protection for you, what is your next step? Do you go into deep prayer, or do you literally prepare yourself for whatever it is that came to your vision?
I'm always prepared for spiritual warfare because, we get attacked every single day. And for me, whenever you're heavily anointed and you're covered in the blood of Jesus, you don't have to worry about fighting battles. God's going to fight that battle for you.
Now, I know this having this gift can be very dangerous as well. And I say that because I can only imagine some of the clients or people that you have read and you've had to warn them about something, but didn't quite know how to warn them without, you know what I'm saying, making it. How do you maneuver that? Because a lot of people will say, because this is where you would have to protect yourself in a way as well.
Exactly. So there are legal disclaimers on my website. And, I do make sure that I tell people that, I am not a doctor. Mm-hmm. So when they're asking me about medical advice, or if I see any type of illness around them, I'm never specific on what it is that I see.
Okay.
Like I can be on a message with someone and, I can feel that they may have like diabetes or cancer or something like that. But I'm not going to say, oh, you have this and you have that, because I'm not a doctor and I can't diagnose. But what I do tell them is that you may want to go see this type of doctor or that type of doctor, and put them in the path to go to that person to help with whatever part of their body that I saw an issue with.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense. So have there ever been a moment where, and you don't have to go into details about it, but has there ever been a moment where you had to read someone and it became a situation that you had to kind of prepare yourself for? Because, and when I say that, I mean, you could tell someone something and they can take it a certain kind of way and wind up doing something that could harm themselves.
Oh, yeah. So I'm glad you asked that question. So, very prematurely into me doing this professionally, I was so excited about, getting myself out there and being, someone that gave like very specific details and, getting that feedback. Oh my gosh, she said this, she named the street, she named the building.
Wow.
And, it came.
You go that far, you can name.
Yeah, I can see the streets, I can see the building. I can tell people the color or whatever the rooftop looked like and things like that. But I had one particular client who was going through some infidelity issues in her marriage. And she's like, I know he's cheating on me. And I'm like, yeah, girl, I see him. He's at this coffee shop and, it has a huge donut on the top. And I said, it starts with it's like McCarter's or something like that. And she called me 2 days later because I told her that him and this young lady meet at a coffee shop every Wednesday around 3:00. And then they leave the coffee shop and they go to this hotel. And
so you knew all of it?
Yeah, I saw all of it.
Okay.
And she's like, okay, thank you for the information. So 2 days later, she calls me and she's like, girl, I'm in the car with the kids and I done pulled up on him.
Oh.
She was like, he was at that coffee shop, the exact same one you said. They was having coffee. I followed them to the hotel. And she's like, I got the kids in the car. And she goes up to the hotel door with the kids and she knocks on the door and
with the kids?
With the kids. And I'm like, you know what?
Man.
I said, thank you, God, for giving me this experience because now I have to be careful with details.
Right.
So now I don't, go into details about like what street, the names and whatever. I give specifics, but I'm not pinpointing locations anymore. I'm not a GPS anymore. So
what's been your biggest challenge in this?
I think the biggest challenge I've had is, well, I would say like the acceptance of the church people, but I really don't care to be honest, because God says he's a judge, a jury, and a trial. So right. I'm not worried about anybody else's judgment, because I know that God is in me, and I know who I believe in, and I know that I'm a Christian lady. And I would say that that's just been, my biggest hindrance is, the feedback from them. Oh, you're not supposed to talk to people that's crossed over. And then they always throw up the story about soil in the Bible and how, God condemned him for talking to a medium. And, I said, people read the Bible to get your own understanding. And I said, there's so many different Bible verses in the Bible that talks about protecting prophets. It talks about taking heed to messages of prophets. Right. So, whenever they give me a Bible scripture or verse, I'm throwing something right back at them. And, to me, I've seen that it's become like a lot of jealousy, because, a lot of the pastors, they get up there and they can't do this. They can't be specific on details. They can't tell somebody like what's going on around them or what's happening around them. And, wow. Like I said on my live video last week, we talked about the church house and church hurt. Right. And there were a lot of people that were on my live that, were talking about how their churches turned their backs on them and their church, is not supporting them. And, I'm like, as a Christian person and as a church, you're not supposed to turn your back on your parishioners. You're supposed to be that person to help them. Absolutely. Especially when times are rough and things get hard. And, it just goes back to when the state of Texas went through that huge flood and Joel Osteen turned his back on people and were like, oh, no, I'm not opening my church for y'all. Right. So, when people are in need, you have to help your people, because they're the ones that's coming to your church funding your building.
One of the things I always talk about is the church and how some of my worst life experiences has been with people in the church. And I don't, when I think of it, now I'm not saying that it's not good to go to church. It's not good to get, the word. I'm just saying that a lot of people in the churches are not true Christians, who are not true to themselves, who are masking the Bible, and they pretend to put on this front, but really not who they say that they are. Right. Because if that's the case, why wouldn't they embrace your gift? Exactly. Why are they afraid of it? Why,
it just goes back to how they condemned Jesus in the Bible. They were so afraid of what Jesus was doing, because Jesus was making a lot of people, prosper, and he was helping a lot of people that were in poverty. He was like, God and Jesus, they did not discriminate against anybody. Right. Like, they both talked to thieves, they talked to prostitutes, so it's like people were like, okay, this is not good. This, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. And, when they saw how people were thriving and flourishing and, they were in better spirits and getting, out of poverty, it was like, oh, he's doing devil work. Oh, this is not of God. Like, he has to go. And that's the same thing that they do to me, because they see, I've had people that are in the church and they're going through illnesses and they're going through, financial problems, and they come to me because God has given me the ability to heal people as well. So I can, heal people through prayer and just through meditation and touch. And, I've had a client who was going through some issues with his arthritis and not being able to, drive a car in 10 years. And I sat down with him, prayed over him, and I told, God, because God says you could command your angels. He says, all you got to do is come to me and I'll give you the ability to command my angels.
Right.
And, I call on the archangels and I, ask them to remove whatever is happening to that person, heal this person, give them life, give them hope, show them a new way. And, 2 weeks later, this man is driving his car. Hadn't driven his car in 10 years. Because his legs were, to the point where the arthritis was so bad, his hands were like this. And he calls me up, he's like doing this, moving the legs. And, so to me, it's just rewarding for me to be able to help somebody get out of a situation where they're healing and they're doing better.
You enlightened me earlier because, my mother's been sick. Mm-hmm. And you told me how you prayed for her and Dori.
Yes.
We don't want you to talk about. He's hilarious. But and Dori got prayed for my mother and stuff. Yes. And you told me she'll be coming home soon.
I did.
And I called her a little bit before we went on, and I hear her in the car. I'm like, "You okay?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm on the way home." Mm-hmm. I said, "What?" And you heard me. I was sitting there talking to her. Like, what? You on the way home? Like, what you gonna tell me? She's like, "Hey, it just happened so quick. Like, they told me I'll probably be going home tomorrow, but they came back and said, hey, everything is good. You can go home today." Mm-hmm. So, when I think, I'm sitting here thinking about everything you're saying. I'm just like, man, it's something to it, And I, despite what anybody think or what anybody feel, unless they sit and experience it for themselves and experience you and your gift, they'll never understand the truth. People can talk all they want to, but you got to see it. You have to experience it to get a grasp of what's happening. Exactly. So has there ever been a time where you can't connect to someone? You can't, they're blocked or?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And, okay, so why would that happen?
So sometimes when a person hasn't been obedient to God, mm-hmm. and when they're not having patience and operating in faith, God will say, no, I'm blocking you from reading this because I'm working this case. Mm. So that's when I have to fall back and allow God to continue to do his job. I had a client who I had been helping this person for almost 2 years, and I gave this person insight, inspiration, helped them through a lot of hurdles in life, and they were winning. And I said, God needs you to continue this winning path, but you got to eliminate distractions. You got to eliminate, all the relations with the different men, and you have to, go on and do things, a certain kind of way. And, just keep yourself pure, keep yourself on this path, and don't let any distractions come. Like if you're going to date, focus on dating one person, mm-hmm. and don't attract a lot of different energy around you. And that went one ear out the other. And, and that person allowed a lot of different energies around them. Mm-hmm. And it got to the point where I was getting phone calls like, hey, this is happening. This has happened. I don't know why this has happened. I lost this money, or my car this and this, that. And I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? Where was your decision making before me? Like, sometimes I have to step back and allow them to operate in their own way, because I can't guide them every single day. That's just like, texting me every day what I'm going to wear what I'm wearing to work today. Like go in there and pick something out. But
right.
I had to tell this person, like, I have to take myself away from you for a while so God can do the work for you now. So God can continue to guide you. And, it was.
I'm sure you get that a lot, where a lot of people just want you to navigate them through their entire relationship, through life, through financial decisions, and they're always calling you. How do you deal with those? Because I'm sure that
it's called call block. but no, I tell them when I get those type of calls or those type of messages, it's just like I act like a mom. You're on spiritual punishment. I'm not taking any more calls from you. I'm not taking any more sessions. And, they'll go on my website and they'll book a session. Oh, if I go on here and pay this money to talk to her, oh, she gonna call me. And then they'll get a nice little email back that says, hey, your money has been refunded.
So you don't mind giving
So I don't mind giving people their money back. I don't, because I want people to understand that, yes, I can help guide you, but God is the person that you have to allow to continue to guide you, because God is a jealous God. Mm-hmm. He says, put nobody before him. And I don't want people to put me on a pedestal higher than God. Right. So I fall back and I say, God, I'm leaving it in your hands.
Do you have, or have you had anybody feel some kind of way that you have a service and you get paid to do this service for them?
Oh, yeah.
How do you do? Why do you feel like they feel that way?
Oh, yeah. So it's more so like the people that are like the church Christians.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're just supposed to give me a message. I'm not supposed to pay for it. I mean, that's not a God. God says you're not supposed to get paid for this. And I said, let me just explain something to you. I said, at the end of the day, when Jesus, my grandmother used to say, Jesus campground around everywhere. That was her thing. And whenever Jesus went somewhere to talk or to preach to someone, the people of these towns would come and give him food, shelter. They would give him gold, jewelry, whatever. And just to hear his message. And for them, it was more of an offering.
Okay.
And, that's why now when you go to church, they ask you for an offering.
Right.
So, and just like when they book sessions with me, it's an offering.
Right.
And what I do when people pay me for these sessions, I give them the opportunity, I give back. So every Tuesday night on my live, which you've seen, we're 8 weeks strong.
Mm-hmm.
And I do free questions for those who cannot afford to pay for sessions.
Right.
So I take a whole hour and a half and I allow people to come into the comments and ask whatever questions that they need answers on. And not only that, I give them giveaways. So I take the money that people pay me with the sessions and I go buy things, and then I give these gifts to people for being, supportive and just being on my live and just, and helping to encourage them. And I give them gifts that I know is going to help them spiritually to get to where they're going.
How does your family feel about it? Because, I feel like if I was in a family that you're involved with, right? And I did something, just to say I did something crazy or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't want to talk to you.
It's really like when somebody in my family does something, they'll call me, hey cuz, or hey yeah, so can you see what's gonna happen with this, or can you help me with this? So they love the fact that I have this gift because I keep them ahead of the game. And my mother, when I tell y'all, she is my biggest support.
Yeah. And I look at your show sometimes and she gives something.
My mom will get in those comments and she will get y'all together. Because she'll be like, one question per person. And
I saw that one.
Yeah, she will, and then she'll be like, okay, it's time to wrap it up. She's like, my baby is tired. Y'all asking her so many questions. And my mother is gifted herself. And that's where I get my gift from. So it definitely comes from my maternal lineage. My grandmother was an evangelist in the church, and she was a true prophet. And, she was the guiding light in helping me to understand my gift.
Okay.
And before she passed away, which was, it'll be almost 8 months now, she told me, she says, baby, it's time. She said, it's time for you to go out there and to do God's work and help God's people. And she said, I understand now what I didn't understand then. And she says, you ain't doing nothing wrong. She says, everything that you are and everything that you are doing is of God. And she said, I kept you in the church. She said, I gave you the way. And she said, and God is the way, the truth, and the light. She said, now you follow him and you allow him to continue to ordain and order your steps.
With that kind of support, it kind of enables you to go and do what you do because you have that strong, person behind you that has your back the whole time. And you also have the back of I have to bring him up.
Oh yeah,
your dear friend Derek.
Yes.
Who? Okay, so let's just who because I happened to see one of the guys. I just love watching. He's hilarious.
Yes. So Wardell is talking about my spiritual partner, my brother, my best friend, Derek Newman Jr. If you guys watch my live or if you guys are on my Facebook page, Instagram, you will always see me talk about him and him talk about me. So I met Derek 4 years ago when I was in need of some spiritual counseling. Okay. Because as a spiritualist, you're blind to your own life. You have to navigate your life the way that God sees fit. So God will give me warning signs and he'll tell me certain things, but he won't be as detailed as I am to my clients. Gotcha. And I was going through a very messy divorce and I was like, which way do I need to go? And my mom was like, you need to find somebody like you. And she was like, cause I just don't feel like this is for you anymore. Like I'm just, it was like, safety issues and it was like mental issues, and emotional things. Because I was going through, losing baby after baby and just a lot. And I'm going through Google and I'm like, let me just Google Atlanta spiritual, and I'm just going through page after page. And, I get to the 10th page on Google and I'm like, I didn't find anything or anyone that resonated with me. And when I went to the 10th page, I saw Derek's photo. And I immediately was drawn to his energy. And I knew that was the person that God wanted me to find. And he had his phone number on his website. So I called the number and I said, and the first thing he says is, hey, Stacey. I'm like, hold on. And he's like, hey, and then he says to me, your mom told you to call me. I'm blown away. So now, I'm feeling what my clients are feeling. Right. And he's like, girl, you got to get out that marriage. Girl, you got to. He was like, girl, ooh. Wow. He's like, ooh, your money funny too. He was like, I think it's telling all my business. So he's just like, I need you to call me. And he says, I know you don't have it right now. And he says, but call me at 10:30. He said, give me whatever you have. I don't know how or what, but that next 4 hours, I got some unexpected money in my bank account. And it was from a job that I was working that they gave me an extra check for being such a good candidate when I was working for them. Oh, wow. And I took that money and I sent it to him. And he told me, he's like, you didn't have to do that. I said, no, I had to. And he told me so much about my life and who I was and what I needed to do. And he was my saving grace that got me out of that situation. Wow. And he told me, just keep listening to me. I'm gonna guide you. And, I was on the break of being homeless. I was, going through a lot of financial things. I had my car repoed, and it was just like, I'm thinking I had a support person and a husband. And it was just a lot of things just hit me all at once. And then once I got out of that marriage and did everything that Derek said God needed me to do, God elevated me to my own place. I got a brand new car a year later. I got my job back and the job came back to me with a salary of $20,000 more than what I left with. And, and God says, I ain't done with you yet. And he says, now I need you to do what it is that you're called to do. And I started my business, Your Spiritual Goddess. And my business has been up and running for 3 years now. And it's been 3 years strong. And Derek and I, before my grandmother passed away, she said, I need y'all two to stick together. I need y'all to do this together. And God's taking y'all places. Nice. And we have been together and we're riding this wave together. And, Derek already had a platform prior to me. Derek is a well sought after spiritualist and medium. And when I tell you this man is amazing, he is amazing. He could tell you right now what color shirt you got on. And you're on the phone with him. But, he's helped push me into my greatness because I lost myself, in that marriage. And I lost myself, coming out of it because it was so much emotional things that occurred and so much where I felt like I needed to just regrow And Derek was the person that, pushed me hard. He gave me that extra push I needed, because I was real timid. I was real not myself. And he's like, girl, I know this ain't you. And he was like, Miss Former supermodel. Because then he's like, you're a pageant queen. He's like, you're used to the stage. You're used to being out there. You're used to, using your voice to help people.
Right.
And he's like, that silenced you. And he's like, now we got to get you back to where you need to be. And I'm thankful for him doing that. And I'm thankful for him even allowing me to utilize his platform. And now we're doing it together. And we have a podcast coming out soon.
Yeah.
There's some TV things coming, it's a lot.
Yeah. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to interview you, because I'm glad you brought that up. So there's television talk in the rise.
Yes.
So now, do you think that the world is ready for what you can bring to TV? Or
Yes.
You think they're ready for that?
So here's my take on it. So the world is ready for spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
The world, like right now, you can go on TikTok and there's so many people doing tarot card stuff, doing readings, and things like that.
Yes.
And that's like the new wave. But what people don't understand is that's the wrong wave. Because these people are teaching people how to do black magic. And you get all these people right now, you see people that you wouldn't think that are going through mental problems, people that are going through depression, anxiety, people that are losing money,
right,
and people that are having illnesses. And that's because these people are doing these love spells and this root work on people. And that stuff is real. It is very real.
Yeah, I never got into that whole tarot card stuff.
Yeah,
I always
there are so there's the difference between, so there's tarot cards, there's oracle cards, and there's angel cards. So for me, I'm not against using cards, because just like a preacher uses the Bible,
right?
But it's the type of cards that you're using, and it's how you use the cards.
Okay.
It's how you're
teaching me something new, because I did.
Mm-hmm.
I assume there was one type of card.
So you have angel cards. So you'll have cards that you can shuffle, and then you'll ask the angel, just say, can you tell me if this is true or not? And then the card will say yes. And then you have cards that say walk with God, or God is guiding you, things like that. So those cards for me, I would say, are okay to use.
Okay.
But when it comes to, like the cards that tell you like, oh, this is the death, and this is the Grim Reaper, I don't advise, anybody to use those cards. And then, it's all about, like I said, energy.
Right.
So if you're not of God and you're using these tarot cards, these cards aren't going to be used for good.
Now, going on television, do you fear the how should I say, the people who don't understand you, saying negative stuff? Because, with television, no matter what you do or how you do it, social media, these people, you have people on social media just to destroy everything you're trying to build.
Oh, yeah.
How do you feel about the people who won't believe it, who don't understand it and won't understand it, and will keep trying to bring you down when you're, on TV trying to give, good spiritual feedback to people? So
I just block them out. I block out distractions, and, I know what God has for me, can't nobody stop. So everybody has their own purpose and their own journey. And right now, I think it's time for the world to see Black spiritualists, to see Black people in spirituality. You have your Teresa Caputo, you have Tyler Henry, you have all these Caucasian people out here that are doing spirituality, when spirituality actually came from the motherland. Spirituality actually resides in Black people. And that's something that, was also stolen from Black people outside of our land and our people.
Outside of everything else that was stolen.
They used our ancestors to teach them how to, be healers and how to do spirituality. And then once they utilized our people to teach them this, they started to use the word witch.
Okay.
as a bad word, because, you know, back in Africa, you know, you had people that were called witch doctors, and these are people that actually healed people,
right,
and helped people. So now they came back and made it all an evil word, and they had the Salem witch trials, and anybody that, you know, had any type of ability, spiritual, they were condemned as a witch.
And that's because of what
And
you do. That's what they would
exactly
call you.
Exactly. And that's why that word became such a negative word. And that's why they utilize, you know, the witch, and they associated with Halloween, and, you know, they just made that whole situation, because, you know, white people have made a lot of things negative and capitalized off of it.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, when I think of witch, I'm thinking of a woman with the nose and the,
exactly, because that's a figure that they created to make an illusion,
like an ugly
and
person,
to make something out of nothing, just like the whole Santa Claus.
Gotcha.
They took the spirit of, you know, what Christmas is all about, and they created a fat white guy in a Santa suit, coming down somebody's chimney bringing gifts. You know, so it's like they take things and they try to capitalize it to monetize things, and that's the way of the world that we live in.
What is your goal in bringing this to television? What do you want people to understand about spiritualism?
Yes. So my goal is to be a vessel of God and just help people maneuver life knowing which direction to go. And my thing is, I want to be that person to help people out of situations, help people understand why they're going through depression and anxiety, and help them to see that there is someone who identifies with what they're doing and what they're going through, and who can utilize, you know, God and spirituality to help them through it. Because we have to understand, whatever you call to your body, whatever you speak over you, is what you're going to have. You know, because the Bible talks about the power of the tongue, you know, and my grandmother used to always say, so is a man thinketh, so is he. So as long as you believe that you have your you have anxiety, or you're going through depression, not that it's not real, but the Bible is a tool. The Bible is a guide, and it tells you how to maneuver life, how to heal yourself, and how to get through illnesses. It tells you how to heal yourself.
Yeah. When people use the Bible for a whole bunch of different ways, and they interpret everything in the Bible, some people interpret it to be something positive. Some people interpret things to be something negative.
Right.
I've seen it happen in both different ways. So when you think of, let's just go to this with your clients. You have clients that may call, and they may want a specific thing understood or read, or for you to give them an answer to something. Is there ever a moment where I'm trying to think of the right way to say this, you want to, or you don't want to tell them something, because you know that telling them that can in turn take them. I know we talked about the lady earlier with the kids. That was a decision she made. That was that was a while ago. But in telling people and giving people this, the answers to some of their questions, do you worry about what could happen when it comes to their spiritual being within themselves? And when I say that, you know, some people believe in God, some people believe in a higher power, a different power, or whatever. And when they call you, they know that you're getting your answers from the Spirit, from God. Is there ever a confusion in that, to where when you read them and they're going against what you're saying because they believe something totally different? You get what I'm saying?
I get exactly what you're saying.
It's like a spiritual battle going on, right? When you...
So for me, before I start my phone calls, and you witnessed me do one of my calls, I give a disclaimer. I say you came to my website, you booked for a reason. You saw that I talked about God. You see that I believe in God and I am of God. So on this call, I will do nothing but talk about God. And this is something that you don't feel comfortable with going into. We can either end the call now. I can refund you your money, or we can continue the call and we can, get into our topics. And, they're like, okay. But I have had one client when I first started, she was what she identified was she was the creator. Okay. And she believed in the sun, the moon, and the stars. Okay. And she believed that the sun governed everything. So
the sun governed everything.
She said the sun governed everything. So she believed that the sun was the person.
That's a new one.
Or it was new for me too. And and she utilized
I've never heard that.
She did a lot of meditations, she did a lot of crystals, and she would just talk about the feminine sun, and it was just all confusing to me. And I said, well, maybe I'm not the spiritualist for you. She's like, no, but I want to know if my boyfriend's cheating on me. Well, I told her that she needs to ask the sun. Because I don't know. I said, you might need to ask the sun, the moon, the stars, or whatever.
Oh my God.
And, she was just like, well, you're supposed to give me guidance. You're supposed to. I said, well, are you? I'm like, well, what are we here for? What's the mission that we're trying to accomplish here? And I said, you want to know if Lil Johnny cheating on you? Lil Johnny been cheating on you. Now what else?
Wow.
But, she was really challenging me. And, she was telling me when I would tell her different things, oh, you're supposed to say it this way. You're supposed to do it this way. And, I told her, I said, well, if you feel like you know how to do my job, then you need to book a session with yourself.
Right.
So, it gets a little tricky. It gets, there's all kind of different things that I see. I had one lady I did a session with, and she had some dark energy over her, and she knew it. And she was messing with a guy who had a girlfriend that she was aware that did black magic, and she came to me to heal her from this. And, I said, I'm a healer of all things, but I don't fight demons. I'm not a demon slayer. I don't go into that realm. I said, you may need to find somebody who specializes in that. And as she's talking to me, there's like a dark cloud that came through my front door. And it just had like this real demonic voice. And it was just like, the energy was just making me so uncomfortable. And it was like going around me in circles. And I said, ma'am, stop. I said, don't say nothing else. And I just started praying to God. I started saying Psalms 91. I started saying the Lord's Prayer, and I started commanding it to leave. And I said, ma'am, I just need you to be quiet. I said, ma'am, just be quiet. And I did all of that, and I opened my balcony door, and it went out the door. And I said, ma'am, let me say this to you. I said, nowhere on my page, on my website, did it say demon slayer, vampire slayer, or that I fight demonic energy. I said, I don't have the time for it. I said, my journey is to give you guidance, and to give you healing, and to help you maneuver life. And I said, I'm not here to fight dark forces. And, I told her that I may not be the spiritualist for her. And, I referred her to someone else who may have been knowledgeable, but yeah, it happens.
Wow. You know what? This has been a very interesting interview. I'm sitting here looking at you, like, damn, it's already time to wrap it up. But, we're winding down. The show is at 7:30. And before I go, first, I just want to say that, I've seen you touch a lot of people. Like, I watch your show. And if y'all haven't watched her show, she does this live on Tuesdays at 8 o'clock?
8 o'clock.
At 8 o'clock, and it lasts about an hour and a half or so. And you have to see this show. I usually, if I don't catch it, I go back and watch the next day just to see what she talked about. It's a very interesting show. And she gives gifts away. She have giveaways and everything on her show. So if I were you guys, I would tune in, check it out, see it for yourself. You'll be surprised at the things that you see on her show and how she blesses a lot of people with her gift. So with that being said, Stacey, thank you for coming on the show.
Yes, thank you for having me.
How can people contact you? How can they reach you? How can they be involved with everything you have going on?
Yes. So in order to watch my live stream on Facebook, it's called Goddess Talk with Stacey Dory. You can find it under my Facebook profile, which is Stacey Dory, STACEY DORI. All of my social media pages for my personal pages are I am Stacey Dory. And for my business, Your Spiritual Goddess, everything is Your Spiritual Goddess. So my website is yourspiritualgoddess.com, Instagram, Facebook, Your Spiritual Goddess.
All right. Make sure you go check her out. You know, this is an amazing show. And I tell her all the time, when we finish, I say, yo, it was a great show. I love watching. Because I'm going to tell you what's funny to me. What's funny to me is some of the people. You know, it's very entertaining because people really want these answers. They want these answers. And they believe that Stacey's going to give it to them. So I think when your TV show comes, it's going to be insane. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a great thing for you to go on television, and you doing this on Tuesday is just a prequel of what's going to be happening on your show. So make sure y'all tune in Tuesday on Facebook Live. Eventually, you're gonna go to YouTube. I think you.
We're gonna go to YouTube, but right now the majority of my audience are like older ladies, and then I have younger crowds. I mean, it's a whole genre of different age groups, but a lot of them don't utilize YouTube. So I'm trying to keep it, there until I take it to the TV. So,
Gotcha. Okay. Well, on that note, my name is Wardell Richardson. And before we go, just give, if you don't mind, a nugget of piece of advice to the people watching on something positive.
Yes. I would always, I always tell my watchers after every live stream, is that when there's things that are burdening you, things that are too heavy for you, things that you're going through that you just cannot deal with, I always tell them to read 1 Peter 5:7, where he talks about cast out your cares and your anxieties to me, for I care for you, says the Lord. So anything that you guys are dealing with, going through, please give your concerns to God and watch him work it out for you.
All right. And you heard it right here from Stacey Dory herself. Listen, my name is Wardell Richardson, host of WCEG Hollywood of the South. Make sure you go and follow me on my Facebook page, WCEGwood, the Hollywood of the South. Make sure you follow me on Instagram under my name, the official Wardell Richardson. Make sure you look me up, follow me, check out everything I have going on, and make sure, once again, you go and check out her show on Tuesdays. It is very entertaining. Trust me, you will love it. And on that note, Stacey, once again, I want to thank you for carving out the time to be on my show, to start this new season at WCEGwood, Hollywood of the South. I got some great things coming up this season, some great people that I'll be interviewing. It's already set in stone. So make sure you tune in right here on WCEGwood, Hollywood of the South. I'm Wardell Richardson. And on that note, I think that is about it. We are signing out, and we are gone.
Bye, guys.